Hello and welcome to a very special episode of ARD The Bathik. And we have a really special guest today with us. Karthik has joined us from India. For those who are active on cricket Twitter, will definitely have come across his great insights. And we have Emad as well joining us for a really special episode as we're going to review the recently concluded IPL auction. First of all, Karthik, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Same to you. Thanks to you guys for inviting me. It's been a long time. Actually, I did a podcast or something of that sort. So, yeah, excited to get underway.
Yeah, it's the first time we're covering, or at least I'm covering the IPL since I've joined IRD, so it's exciting for me as well. And Imad, welcome back to you as well. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
absolutely. It's the first time for me, I think, as well at AARD, and I'm extremely excited. The auction was, of course, it was the mega auction, not the normal auction, so that made things even more exciting. So I'm genuinely stoked to be here.
Yeah, mega auctions are always fun. Since ever since I've watched IPL auctions, it's always the mega auctions that are most fun because you never know like which player is going to end up in which team. And so I'd like to start off with a question to you, Karthik. According to you, like for you, what was the biggest surprise of this auction?
I think perhaps before the auction got underway, I think we saw a few surprise exclusions from the retention list, starting off from Rishabh Pant. I think that is perhaps the biggest because Rishabh Pant pretty much grew up with the Delhi Capitals or the Delhi Daredevils as they were previously. He made his debut with them, and he's been like a lot of people thought he'll be a one club player, but now that has come to an end, and he's now moved on to LSG. So probably I think that one. In the auctions, I think we saw a lot of people returning to their previous clubs. I think for a long time. I think starting off from Ravichandran Ashwin and then Bhuvneshwar Kumar, something that a lot of people might not remember, but in 2010 actually he was with RCB. So it's after a long 15-year gap that he is now returning to RCB again. So some pleasant surprises, I think you can say.
Yeah, especially Ashwin going back to CSK, like it's a really nice throwback to that golden CSK era of the early 2010s. And Imad, I'd like to pose the same question to you. Like, what surprised you most in this auction?
Yeah, obviously, first and foremost, it was the retentions and Rishabh Pant obviously leaving his franchise, as Karthik also mentioned. That was genuinely something that was really surprising because the idea was that you don't let go a player like Rishabh Pant, but apparently he had some problems with the franchise. Other than that, when it comes to the auction, I think I didn't expect Venkatesh Iyer and Shreyas Iyer to get this much when it comes to the bidding, uh, and I think both of them will be probably captaining their sides now. But yeah, so ये दो surprise थे, पर इसके अलावा probably Will Jacks not being right to my match. A lot of people are talking about how there was some underground work between RCB and Mumbai Indians through which this didn't happen. Apparently, there was something between CSK and KKR as well. It's really fun. It's really dramatic how uh, when Bravo went to CSK stable, then apparently वहाँ पे भी negotiation. I mean, obviously, it's conspiracy theories. We don't know what's true or and what's not true, but that's the most fun part around this auction. But yeah.
Yeah, like that's what I think differentiates like the auction from, for example, the PSL draft is that there's always like competition for every single player, and perhaps I think like that's what makes like the auction a lot more fun for me as well. You mentioned Shreyas Iyer and Venkatesh Iyer, so that's like the perfect segue for us to start reviewing the teams, starting with Punjab Kings. Obviously, they're one of the few trophyless franchises throughout the IPL's history, and they only came close in 2014 to winning. And now they've got, as Karthik mentioned, another player who returned to his original club, Glenn Maxwell. So My first question to you, Karthik, is do you think Punjab overpaid for Shreyas Iyer, Arshdeep, and Chahal? And was it a good move to get Maxwell back as well? Like, do you think they finally can push for the playoffs after a long time?
Um, I personally don't agree with the price given to Shreyas Iyer. I think that is a lot. I think for a specialist batter, although he does bring in a lot of tactical nows. I think he's been one of the better skippers in the IPL for the last few seasons. But I think if you look at his batting, it's not a really, I think, a top level T20 batter. He's a steady batter. He'll give you decent returns, but he won't win you matches on his own. He'll need a players around him to really be the match winner. So for someone of that kind to fetch an amount over 20 crores, I think that is massive surprise, and probably that put Punjab behind the pack very early on in the auction. I think they couldn't target better players or better uh, players in terms of who can win you matches. I think moving on to, I think, Ashdeep Singh and Yuzvendra Chahal, I think that is fair price. I think, for example, if you retained Ashdeep Singh, he would have gone for 18 crores. So it pretty matched the price. So I think that is okay. And I think Ashdeep Singh has been on the rise. I think he's steadily improving match by match. If you look at him, I think he's improving. Very reliable with the new ball, swings it both ways. And then at the death overs, he's got a lot of variations. Can bowl Yorkers, has lower deliveries. So very sound bowler who can lead the attack for you. So that is fair price for him. And Yuzvendra Chahal, I think last season was perhaps one in which he didn't really um, match the standards that he usually has. He's the leading wicket taker in the IPL history, 205 wickets. So I think you got a player who has established his reputation in the tournament. So one bad season, I won't really doubt him. I think he should come back. And Mulanpur, Punjab's home ground, has pretty big dimensions. So it'll be useful for him to experiment with his line and lens and all. So I think he'll do pretty well there. I'm just looking at the rest of the uh, team. Punjab Kings. My biggest concern is, I think, their middle order. I think a lot of Indian options there. Nehal Vadera, Priyan Charya, Shashank Singh. Shashank Singh did well, so that's a positive for them. But I think the batting lineup, I just don't see match winners, as I alluded to earlier. A lot of teams have uh, big name superstars in their top three, and Punjab don't quite have that. So it's going to be a task. At the end of the auction, I felt that they were not in the top seven in terms of the squads post the auction. So it's going to be an uphill task for them, I feel.
Yeah, and you mentioned their middle order batting, and they lost like a pretty promising uncapped player, Ashutosh Sharma, who was
Yeah.
not retained. So, d- do you think like they can, they've had a knack of like, having players like Shashank Singh or Ashutosh who are uncapped who just come almost out of nowhere, at least for like us who are like not really following the domestic structure in India, just come out of nowhere in the IPL and start performing as hitters. So, do you think like they can replicate what they did last season in terms of like lower order hitting? And another question I have is how do you rate their local bowling apart from Ashdeep and Chahal?
Local bowling, I think you have Kuldeep Sen, Vaishak Vijaykumar, and Yash Thakur. I think like the look of Kuldeep Sen. He can bowl upwards of 140 kph. So that is he's a bowler who I'm impressed with. The others, I think, the likes of Vaishak Vijaykumar and Yash Thakur are ones who depend on variations a lot. They're not really the quickest ones out there. So I think if you're not really bowling upwards of 135 kph or 140 kph regularly, especially when you look at the kind of tracks that were there in the IPL last season, I think you're going to be in trouble because whatever you do, I think if you have a high pace, it's the point of difference at the end of the day. and that is missing. And also I think even if you look at the overseas contingent, it's pretty much one-dimensional. I will say. I think Marco Jansen again a swing bowler, Xavier Bartlett again new ball bowler, who's primarily done well in the power play and the Big Bash, for example. So I think they're going to find it tough and to have wicket-taking options. I think Lockie Ferguson has been hyped up a lot. I think he's experienced too now, but I just don't think he's put in consistent performances at the IPL level. One thing, as I said, inconsistent performances, and also is injury prone. If he gets injured, you have a big hole in the team. So that is a big concern. I think like they have bits and pieces in every department, but not quite the 100%. I would say. I think because later on in the auction, they added all rounders like Aaron Hardy, Aznatullah Omarzai, but I don't see a spot for them in the playing 11 with Marco Jansen already there. If you look at the other teams, their backups will be ones who will replace the top four overseas, the ones who are in the 11. But the backups that Punjab have are all of the same kind. So you don't have variety of players who could come in and if they're going to different stadiums with different characteristics. So it's going to be an issue for them.
Yeah, plus one thing, like I just want to briefly mention is like the impact pair rule. I think it kind of makes like all rounders a bit redundant because you can just like sub in a batter for a bowler.
Yeah, yeah.
Imad, would you like to move on to another team?
Yeah, sure. Just sort of mention how Ponting's influence is so clear as light when it comes to the overseas players. That is something that was interesting to see. Moving on towards Lucknow Super Giants, I think their middle order really represents fire, to say the least. But at the same time, it is left-handed as well, with Rishabh Pant and Nicholas Puran and David Miller. So, uh, uh, Karthik, what do you think about this side in particular, especially in terms of the batting, the explosive batting lineup that they have? We know that they had KL Rahul, and there was a whole controversy regarding
Mm.
that as well. So now they've gone to a complete different route with Mitchell Marsh being the opener for them alongside probably Aiden Markram, I guess. So just sort of put this down for us in terms of their batting.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at their squad is they're mostly focused on overseas batters and domestic bowlers. That's a clear characteristic. They just have one overseas bowler in Chamar Joseph, and even that, even his pick, they didn't seem like convinced. It was actually miscommunication, I guess, because MI bid for him, and then LSG looked to RTM, but actually, Anantabani, Akash Ambani, for us, beg your pardon, he didn't agree. So they had to settle for Shamar Joseph in the end. It didn't actually look like Shamar was in their plans before his name came up. So that's a clear characteristic, I think. And I pretty much doubt it because I think even if you look at their batters, they're not really, I think, ones who have done well in the IPL recently, Mitchell Marsh or Aiden Markram. Aiden Markram, even for South Africa in T20s, not really been in great form. So, is it a wise move to put all their eggs in the overseas batters basket? Uh, I'm confused. I mean, I don't have full confidence on that. I Moving on to the bowling attack, there are some promising bowlers. I mean, Rajvardhan Hangargekar, Mohsin Khan, um, and then in terms of spinners, you have Siddharth. In the starting 11, I'll expect them to start with Ravi Bishnoi, Akashdeep, Mayank Yadav, and then Avesh Khan. Those are, I think, names that you'll agree to, I guess. Um, that gives a settled lineup, but again, I don't think they can blast out a batting lineup. They could give you steady returns, but I don't think they could get an opponent team all out for 130, 140 odd. They could probably restrict opponents to 170, 180. But again, their batting has to reply to that, which I'll have to wait and see again. Rishabh Pant, uh, I think his best returns will only come if he opens the batting lineup. Because if you looked at the last season, he really struggled against spinners. So I think it will be a good move if LSG opt to have him as an opener. Let him exploit the power play. Let him get you off to a good start instead of I think because an alternate option they could have is to open with Mitchell Marsh and Aiden Markram. I don't want that to happen. I think it will be a better move for Rishabh Pant to open. If that happens, I think you set up a good platform for the likes of Puran, Badoni, and Miller. So I think that could be the point of difference for them. If they open with Rishabh Pant, maybe their season could end up well. If they don't go down that route, I'm not sure about their returns. I think they could miss out on the playoffs.
And I would assume that Shahbaz Ahmed will be serving as the all-rounder, right, alongside Ravi Bishnoi as the second spinner.
I think yeah, at Lucknow probably yeah, Shabazz should come in.
Right.
When you go away from home, I think you could probably go with an extra seamer.
That makes perfect sense, and I think I can't help but make this comparison with Peshawar Zalmi of last year because they also had the kind of side, but the batting lineup was extremely explosive, and but their bowling was essentially really conceding the runs, and while other teams were restricting teams for 170 or 180, Peshawar Zalmi used to go to 220, and they did chase some totals as well, but at the same time they did lose the games as well. Uh, Talha, do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
so um, no, I think like you explained it pretty thoroughly. So sticking to like another team from the north, Delhi Capitals. Obviously, they lost Rishabh Pant, which is a massive loss. But they have a couple of overseas players who could like really form the backbone of their batting for years to come, like Fraser McGurk, Tristan Stubbs, and Harry Brook if he comes good. And they got Mitchell Stark in the auction, and they also picked up KL Rahul as probably a captaincy option.
Yeah,
So, how would you rate their auction and like their standing among the other teams?
I'd say I think they're in my top five. I'd say I think probably I think a couple of months ago I tweeted that hopefully DC get back like a trio of Stubbs, Harry Brook, and Jake Fraser Mega together. That happened, so that's something that very good for Delhi Capitals and the addition of KL Rahul. That adds a lot of stability to their lineup. I think it could have been tricky if they went with just their overseas batters because all of them are attacking and you could have a situation where you lose three or four wickets in the power play. I think Rahul will bring in that balance to their batting lineup, and they have some exciting lower order, middle order batters also in the form of Ashutosh Sharma, who had a massive impression last season. And then we have Samir Rizvi. Samir had very few opportunities last season, but he's been doing very well in terms of the local state league, UP state league. Uh, a lot of people tout him to have a bright future. So I think their batting is very impressive. I think that's the first thing that comes to my mind. And on the bench they have Faf du Plessis also. So that's a lot of riches for them. And I think when about the bowling attack, they've strengthened their death bowling in particular. I think Natarajan is a very wise addition to their bowling attack. And in terms of spinners, they probably have two of the best Indian spinners in Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav. So again, you cover 8 overs with those, and then you have Stark and the others. Mukesh Kumar. Mukesh Kumar. I don't know. I think what is the fascination for Delhi Capitals? I think 8 crores again, 8 plus crores RTM. I don't know what he brings in because um, mostly when he came into the IPL, people expected him to be a weapon with a new ball because he's had a very good first class career. Um, he has had limited opportunities in Test cricket where he's looked pretty decent with a new ball also. But in the IPL, it has been completely opposite, where he's been better with the older ball. After 10 wickets, after 10 overs is where most of his wickets have come from. But again, at the same time, it's been expensive also. So you could probably, I think, justify the signing if it was at a price of 3 or 4 crores, but 8 crores feels too much. And he probably has to
Didn't
start.
they also pick up Mohit Sharma, who was pretty decent at Gujarat, as far as I remember?
2 seasons ago, he had a very good season, but the last season wasn't as impressive. So you have to think, like he's not a newbie, but you still have to wonder whether it was a one season wonder or of some sort. I think their other options are Dushmant Chamira, Darshan Alkande, and a few other domestic seamers who don't have much experience. Um, I think uh, they'll have their batting to save them. I think that is what I feel could happen. Their batting lineup is too good, and they'll have to save them on most occasions. I think Firozshah Kotla, they have the ability to post 200 plus totals on a regular frequency. I think so. I think they'll do the job. But the difference between them ending up in the playoffs and then going on to possibly lift a title, which they have never done before, I think that could be the bowling attack. I think they don't have, uh, I think, world class teams. I think Mitchell Stark, again, if you see, a lot of people will say he has a lot of quality. Yeah, I think he does had quality, but throughout the league stage of the last season, he wasn't impressive. He went for runs consistently in every match, and it was only in the two playoff games that he won the games for KKR. So, can he do it in the league stage, or can he be a consistent performer? I don't know, because in T20 cricket, apart from the IPL, he's not been great for Australia too, and he doesn't play like T20 other T20 leagues. So for someone of that kind, you don't have regular experience in the shortest format of the game, which is very vital. I feel. I think if you play T20 cricket only for 1 or 2 months of the year, you're not really going to acquire those skills which are going to help you in the shortest format of the game. So I think, yeah, I think the batting. Bottom line is the batting is world class, and I think that is going to be a bright light for them.
Yeah, I also actually have similar thoughts about Mitchell Stark, but then the people who defend this selection say that the kind of impact that he gives in big matches when it comes to playoffs and finals, they say that it is probably equivalent to the bad performance that he gives in the group stage, because rising up to the occasion is not everyone's forte. But I do agree that he is washed at some level in T20. We saw that in T20 World Cup as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to Rajasthan. Imad, any questions you have about their auction or squad?
Yeah, so they have have an incredible opening combination of Jayaswal and Samson. I mean, what gets better than that? Uh, we see a much different sort of structure in this squad. If we compare it to the teams that we have been seeing, they are very much reliant on Indian batters and overseas bowlers, as far as what I'm seeing here. What do you make of this, especially in terms of Rajasthan playing in their home ground and all the conditions that go around that? What do you think?
I think their first 11 is pretty much set, I'll feel. Um, but their backups are questionable. And I think a long tournament like the IPL, you'll have to have good enough backups in case someone gets injured or someone's not in the best of form. I think you need backups, but likes of Faisal Faruqi, Quena Mafaka, they don't have a lot of experience at the IPL level. Mafaka, they played a couple of games for Mumbai last season. He went for a lot of runs. He has a massive future, but in the IPL, you need immediate returns, is what I feel. It's not a tournament where you can develop players because every 3 years you have the mega auction, and it doesn't really matter if you go for youth development because after 3 years you're going to again release them into the mega auction pool. So um stepping into the, I think the playing level, the retentions, I think, were pretty good. More than pretty good, actually. I think they were top class because you have a pool of Indian batters who are, like, I think, getting into the prime. Jaiswal, Samson, recently we have seen striking hundreds for fun. Then Dhruv Jurel, Riyan Parag, Shimran Hetmeyer was, I think, slightly a surprise pick ahead of Joss Butler. But I think again, Hetmeyer's value as a finisher is not something you get regularly. He's been really, really good as a finisher in the IPL. So you could perhaps pass that as a decent retention. My problem with RR possibly comes after Hetmeyer in the batting lineup because they don't have enough depth, I feel. Because after Hetmeyer, it could be Manindo Hasaranga and then Jofra Archer. Uh, Hasaranga for Sri Lanka at the international level has come up with useful cameos. People know him to be a very good batter against spin bowling. He regularly opens up the offside and can manipulate the field, but at the IPL, does not really match those performances. And again, fast bowling in particular is really, really look vulnerable. So the batting line in terms of depth is pretty thin, and also you have to say, I think we'll have to look at the injury-prone nature of their bowlers also. Starting with Jofra Archer, and even Asaranga is injury-prone. He missed the last season, so I think the starting 11 is set up, but uh, not sure whether they can go with the same flow if someone gets injured. Um, as I mentioned, I think the likes of Faruqi, Mafaka, they'll have a lot of pressure on their shoulders to match up to the likes of Archer and even Sandeep Sharma, who's been a consistent performer. He's retained as an uncapped player. That is owing to his good performance over the last few seasons, especially at the death. He's been a reliable performer. Uh, Usually, people have doubts over bowlers who are very reliant on Yorkers at the death, but Sandeep Sharma somehow has found a method to make that work. And my biggest question mark now will be whether RR opt to go with a spin attack that has two overseas players, whether they'll opt to pick Mahesh Dixon is something to watch out for because again, the Indian spin options isn't great. Actually, they don't have any Indian option apart from Kumar Kartikeya, who I feel is a decent defensive option, but he's not one who you can go for if you want a wicket-taking option in the middle overs. So my final feeling is that they'll have to keep their first playing 11 on the park for maximum games. If even one or two gets injured, there's season go out of the park.
Yeah, and that's where like the longer schedule really like affects such teams who have like spent a lot on their first 11 but not much on their bench strength. And the next team I would like to move on is the defending champion team, KKR. They retained their usual like crop of players that you can expect, like Russell Narayan, Chakravarti, and Rinku Singh, of course. But they spent a lot of money on Venkatesh Iyer, which is, I think everyone thinks is a massive overpay, and they had to make up for it by like buying a lot of players on base price, like Rahman Powell, Moeen Ali, Gurbaz, who I think is like a very like he's a steal at 2 crore in my opinion. And they also have players like Umran Malik, Ajinkya Rahane, Manish Pandey, who like drifted more to the like the the fringes of their teams last season. So, do you think they have what it takes to go back to back, or have they blundered too much in the auction?
I think they might not go back to back, but I expect them to have a pretty good season again because I think they've retained most of their players who performed well, likes of Sunil Narayan, Andre Russell, from Mandeep Singh, Harshit Rana, Varun Chakravarti. So it's a pretty settled squad, and a lot of names are back again. So, and if you consider them missing out on Phil Salt, they've replaced him with Quinton de Kock, which is again not a bad option at all. Apart from that, they've replaced Shreyas Iyer with Ajinkya Rahane. Probably, I think he might start, or it could be Manish Pandey. I don't feel it'll be a massive downgrade. They could match the returns again, I feel. Um, I think the onus will be again on the spin attack, Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan. If they have a good season, I think they'll again do well. Those two are world class, and I think the best thing about them has been their consistency. Um, Even though they might be mystery spinners, and we've regularly seen mystery spinners after 2 or 3 years, they get found out, and it's not the same for them anymore. You can look at the likes of Ajanta Mendes or even Mujibur Rahman, but these two have been pretty consistent in what they do, and that is a good thing for them. Their overseas pacer, instead of Mitchell Stark, they have two other options in Andre Norkia and Spencer Johnson. I feel they could start with Norkia, but I would rather have Spencer Johnson. What I've seen, I think most of the overseas leagues, yeah, he's been very, very good. I think and he's someone who's an all-face bowler, I feel. He can do a job with a new ball. He can give you one over in the middle overs because he can bowl you those hard lengths. Very tall guy, and at the death also is decent enough tools to be a success. Um, the other bench options are Rahman Powell, Moeen Ali, Gurbaz, like you said. Not the best options, but I think they could do a decent job. Unlike Rajasthan Royals, I feel they have better bench option and more bench options as well. So it's a very settled squad. I feel something that the best teams in the IPL have is loyalty, or they stick together to their performers, be it Mumbai Indians, CSK, or KKR. And again, you see the likes of Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan all being retained, even if they may be at the back end of their careers, they're back again. And I think that's something that's worked. Why to change something that works? That is what I feel.
Yeah, and so it does feel that they are probably following the same template, if not the same player, if same players. If we compare the squad to the squad they had last year, the winning squad. But let's just sort of move from east to south. Royal challenges Bangalore. I feel like in Pakistan that's like the most followed side. I mean, hands down, as far as I feel.
I
And
mean,
so
easily, definitely, just because of Kohli.
yeah, and obviously at some level De Villiers were also there, but yeah, it's mainly because of Kohli. So let's just begin. Will this be their year? Because they have genuinely tried so hard uh, all this time. They've changed their coaches, they've changed their templates, they've changed their players, they've done everything, but it doesn't work out for them. So please give some hope to the Pakistani fans as well as the most loyal fan base in IPL, probably the fan base of Royal Challengers Bangalore.
I think day one of the auction, as RCB fans were pretty upset, which is pretty expected. I think the picks were not the best, I would say, but I think day two saved them to an extent. I feel um, they are going to start with Virat Kohli and Phil Salt as the opening pair. Very, very good combination. I think Salt, saw how good he was last year, so I expect him to enjoy the surface at Chinnaswamy Stadium. Small dimensions and the ball comes onto the bat pretty well. So he should do well there. Um, Going down the batting order, I think again a lot of firepower there. Rajat Patidar, Livingston, Jitesh Sharma, Tim David, a lot of six hitters. So I feel they could have a lot of success in terms of the batting lineup. The bowling lineup, a lot of experience there. I think Bonish Kumar, Hazelwood. Hazelwood had a pretty decent season some years ago. So that's a pretty smart pick. I think in terms of the bowling attack last season, they had to chop and change a lot. I think for first half of the season went pretty bad for them. And then they fell onto a combination of Lockie Ferguson, Swapnil Singh, Yash Dayal, Mohammad Siraj, which eventually worked. I think this year they could start with a much better attack in terms of, yes, you said Bhuvaneswar Kumar, Hazelwood, Dayal, Rasik there, and then in terms of spin option, you have Krunal Pandya. Spin, I think, is slight weak area. I think Krunal, in terms of defense, again, defense bowling, he'll give you good returns on most occasions, but again, he's not a wicket taker. I think 9 of 10 times he'll give you 27 for one out of his 4 overs, but he's not going to break open a game for you. And the other spinner that they have in the squad is
I
Suyash
think
Sharma.
you'd still take like 1 for 27 at their home ground.
Yeah, I would, I think, but if you go away from home, it could become a challenge for them. Uh, I think, yeah, and another point of discussion would be they don't have, I think, many Indian batting options. I feel like obviously you have Kohli and Pratidar, but Padikkal is the other one who they have, and then youngster and Swastik Chikara, I rate him pretty highly. I think he can, and the UP T20
Jitesh
league was,
Sharma as well is a local option.
yeah. Jitesh Sharma there, but last season wasn't the greatest for him. That is why I think he was released by Punjab Kings. To If he carried on his form from the previous 2 seasons, I think Punjab wouldn't have hesitated to retain him. So there's a question mark there. And then in terms of Padikkal, he wasn't really picked up under the flagrant of the auction. So you can kind of get a feeling that he wasn't in their first list, in the main list of targets. I think so. Is it a good enough pick for RCB? We have to see that later on. I think they have a decent mix of players. And in terms of other bowlers, I think they have Nuwan Tushara, who's a handy option. So if Hazelwood doesn't work out, you can bring him in. A lot of people I think he's a death overs bowler, but he's actually better with the new ball. He gets a lot of swing and even in T20s, apart from the IPL, he's mostly been a wicket taker with the new ball. So we have options like that. So uh, it's pretty decent, I would say. I think not the championship winning one, but I think they could get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember Tushara playing a match or two for Quetta in the PSL, and he got new ball wicket there too. But he has a very similar action to Malinga, and that's like a perfect segue to
Not as
CSK
quick, but
because
yeah, similar.
yeah, that's a perfect segue to CSK because they also have like Malinga's successor, Pathirana, and they are like I think after RCB the most popular team in Pakistan as well. So first question: will this finally be Dhoni's last season or not?
Yeah, I don't know. I think no one knows the answer except the man himself. I don't know when he'll quit because he's. I think a recent interview he said he'll play as long as he wants because he's enjoying his cricket now, and he doesn't play apart from the IPL, so has enough time to recuperate from an injury. Actually, after the IPL, he had a surgery, knee surgery. He was really struggling with the knee surgery, but had a knee surgery and then has had enough time to recover. But I think uh, obviously, I think there was a lot of controversy. The new rule, the uncapped player rule, actually coming in just for him, you could say. Uh, but if you take him away from the picture, which is difficult to do, but yeah, I think for me, they're one of the favorites going into the season now. I think they came with a pretty settled plan. They wanted to go heavy with spinners. I feel they did that pretty successfully. I mean, trio of Noor Ahmed, Ravichandran Ashwin, and Ravindra Jadeja at Chepa, I feel that they could have a lot of success. And even from away from home, I don't think they'll have to drop or tinker with the combination a lot because I feel Noor Ahmed and Ashwin they have enough quality to be successful on a variety of pitches. Uh, and I think the late pickup of Sam Curran too, I think that was a very smart one. They got them at a they got him at a very cheap price. I think 2.4 crores. They got him at such a price because he came late in the auction. But again, a very good pickup. The only thing I think that could be a worry for them might be the explorers in the middle order. They don't have that because the likes of Deepak Huda, Vijay Shankar, and even Jadeja not really been explosive. I think there are batters who will play the strike rate of 125, 130 at Chepauk, and I expect Chepauk to have spin-friendly tracks. On those tracks, these players will be very useful. But when you go away from home, you need a lot more ball striking, which I think they don't have that in their arsenal. Um, but I think with MS Sony, I think when a settled batting lineup, um, I tout them to lift another title just because they have a world-class bowling attack. It covers almost every base because you have Sam Curran and Khalil Ahmed to take the new ball, or Ashwin would also chip in with the new ball, and then you have Patirana at the back end. Um, so I don't really see any loophole with their bowling attack. And if you hear a lot of analysts, they will say that bowling attacks win tournaments, and I subscribe to that feeling also. And so just because of their bowling attack, I feel they're one of the prime contenders for the title this time.
Yeah, like throughout their history, they've always had like a very that template, which is because probably because of the consistency they had like in the coaching setup and captaincy. Imad, you want to move on
Yeah,
to another team?
yeah, yeah. I just want to mention how the set template, while it might not be as reminiscent of how people say that T20 should be played these days, it does really work out for them, and we see that with a lot of stable franchises around the world. Multan is an example. Yeah, and I really like how they've gone back to a lot of players that they had before. I think we have to discuss Hyderabad, considering that we are in the south. I'm sure Hyderabad is in the south. So they did play really well in last season, and they made the finals. They are essentially following that same template again, considering they were successful. What exactly do you think that they've changed in from this, and how do you actually see Ishan Kishan's inclusion in this lineup?
I think they went with a couple of strange things. I'll say the addition of Ishan Kishan to start with, because that makes it a top three full of left-handers. You just open yourself up to matchups from the opposition side, and if you also look at this spin bowling attack, they have three leg spinners, so there's not a lot of variety in terms of the spin attack. Um, Adam Zampa should probably start, and I think most of them rate, and I also rate him. He should be a good addition to their spin attack, which not has not been the greatest for them. They've like mixed and matched with the likes of Mayank Markante, Shabazz Ahmed in previous years, so that is definitely an upgrade
I
for
think
them.
Zampa at like 2.4 crores is a steal, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure. And I think their seam attack also is pretty good. The addition of Mohammad Shami, Simarjeet Singh. Simarjeet Singh, a lot of people might not know, but very impressive. I think tall guy who can clock 145 kph, hits hard length. So a very useful addition to complement Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins again, you'll mostly see him bowl through the middle overs and then the death overs. So you have those new ball options in Mohammad Shami and Simarjeet Singh now. So that's definitely a good thing for them. Uh, in terms
And
of
they have
weak,
another Malinga as well.
yeah, Ishan Malinga. People might have watched him in the ACC Emerging Cup recently. Quick option, and also he has an off cutter, very vicious off cutter. I think he was turning at miles. I think it was like Muthaiya Mulidan bowling of 20 steps. It was like that. So useful option to have. Bench is something that I'm not sure about. Bryden Cast they have picked up. I think Pakistan fans will know. They faced him up recently. Um, Hard length bowler with some batting ability, but for the IPL, I'm not sure. I think SRH actually had him in the SA20, their sister franchise, Sunrise Eastern Cape, but he didn't have really great returns there. Um, uh, but again, I think if the batting lineup fires, it could be an entertaining season, and they could. Um, have a decent season. I think they could be probably, I think, fourth or fifth. It could be a very tight finish for them. Um, and the I think make or break thing could be whether Heinrich Klaassen is in the form that he used to be. I think the last 2 or 3 months it's not been at his best. So if he comes back to his best, I just have no doubts that they will make the playoffs. I think that is probably the one thing that I'm looking forward to. Apart from that, it's a very, very exciting batting lineup. Again, like RCB, they have a lot of six hitters. Abhishek Sharma head, Ishan Kishan, Heinrich Klaassen, and then Abhinav Manohar, someone who's a very powerful striker in the domestic circuit. Recently, the Maharaja T20 Trophy, which is Karnataka State League, he struck 19 fours and 52 sixes in 10 innings. So that kind of shows us firepower. So a lot of exciting things to watch out for in terms of the batting lineup. Again, it's a very steady lineup. I hope they do well. I think it's a likable unit also.
Yeah, I think like if their openers and Klassen are fighting, like it's pretty hard to stop them when they're batting well. We left out one of the northern teams before moving south, Gujarat Titans. So just to keep it brief, because I know we have a time limit to adhere to. What do you think Gujarat's best 11 is this season?
I think it's Shuman Gill, Sai Session, and then Josh Butt are the top three, and Butler and Gill will obviously open. I think that's a very settled lineup. Until late into the option, I was worried about their middle order. I think that's something that a lot of people are talking about. Their middle order wasn't really, I think, something that induced confidence because they have the likes of Mahipal, Lomror, and then Washington Sundar. But I think that signing of Sherfy and Rutherford puts their batting lineup into a different picture now. Um, it not just deepens their batting lineup, but also has a lot of firepower now. Shah Rukh Khan, Rahul Tewatia, those guys, you know what they can do. And then you have Rashid Khan coming in late down at probably eight, so that's definitely a luxury for them. And I think they have a lot of quality Indian seam bowling options. Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna, Kagyu Pada. The conditions at Ahmedabad suit paces, so they should enjoy that a lot. But in terms of the spinners, they will retain most of their players who were there with them previously, likes of Sai Kishore, Manav Sutar, Jayant Yadav. So there are a lot of experienced Indian finger spin options to go ahead with Rashid Khan, who gives you that match winning leg spin option. So I think alongside CSK, I feel GT are also one of the contenders for the season.
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the best options that we have seen in this edition. Finally, the powerhouse of IPL, probably the most successful franchise in this competition, Mumbai Indians. Uh, Once again, you Mumbai Indians like never has a bad option, right? And if you look at their lineup, it's incredible. You've got Sharma, Verma, and then Surya Kumar Yadav, Pandya. It's incredible. And then they strengthen, and I haven't even talked about the bowling lineup. Bumrah, and now he's paired up with Trent Bolt. Again, best possible side for them. And how do you see them finishing?
I think like RR, Mumbai also have a very strong Indian batting contingent, which is a massive, massive luxury to have in the IPL. Because if you remember, I touched upon how Lucknow don't really have overseas bowling options, but Mumbai have that too. I think that is something that differentiates them with Rajasthan Royals and LSG. They're just all faces covered. I feel. I think all the departments look scary. I just feel. I think Ryan Rickleton. I feel will open with Rohit Sharma. Rickleton obviously almost a carbon copy of Quinton de Kock. I think he'll do well at the Wankhede Stadium. The other batting options, I think, as I said, it's very scary. I think Tilak Verma, he showed his quality recently. Surya Kumar, probably the number one batsman in T20 cricket. Hardik Pandya. And then Namandir, they got him back in the auction. He played a few games and showed very impressive shot playing ability. So I think with a few games under his belt, I think he could really, I think, show his ability in this season. Um, I think one thing that they've really upgraded is the spin attack. Last few seasons, they've had to manage with Piyush Chawla. No, I think Chawla's done a pretty good job. I think people didn't expect him to really stand up, but he did a pretty good job. But still, I think that was something that was viewed upon as a weakness. And now they got Allah Gasanfar and Mitchell Santana. Gasanfar, I have few doubts. I think whether the stage might be too big for him, but I don't have doubts about his talent. I think whether he can match up to the expectations and the crowds, something that he wouldn't have played. And so I think whether he can match up to the pressure and the expectations, that's the only doubt I have. But I think there are so many quality options. I think bowling attack, as I said, Trent Bolt and Jasprit Bumrah. That's something that pairing was a very key thing for them in 2020 when they won title. And a lot of people view the 2020 Mumbai Indians side as probably the best ever T20 side that's been assembled. So they've kind of looked to match that squads, and they've been very successful in doing so. And as usual, I think they've gone with a few scouting picks also. That's something that Mumbai Indians are famous for. I think Bevan Jacobs from New Zealand, a lot of people don't know, but I've read on Twitter that he's a very strong hitter. Um, Good numbers in T20 cricket, not so much in list cricket, but looks like a pace hitter. So could be a surprise factor from them. And then they have some useful young Indian options in likes of Robin Mins, Rajan Bava, who's an up-and-coming pace bowling all-rounder, and and Ashwini
Yeah,
Kumar has been
I was
impressive like last
I
season.
was going through their squad, and I saw like Bevan Jacobs, and I had no idea who he was. And like looking at his cricket info profile, he's batted 6 times in T20 cricket only, but striking at 188. So definitely like someone to keep an eye out for. And yeah, Mumbai have like
And obviously Ryan
this
Richardson as
addition.
well. I mean, a lot of people are not talking about that pick because I think he might actually turn out to be the X factor for Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, he had a very good season for MA Cape Town in the SC20. But catapulted him into the South African T20 side also. Very impressive player. I think plays all around the ground, and I think he should complement Rohit Sharma pretty well at the top of the order. Um, um, I don't feel. I think Will Jacks will start. I think they could perhaps go with two overseas spinners. That could be an option for them. I think Mitchell Sandler and Gazan for starting could be a possible option for them because again, unlike other teams, they don't have the pressure to really fill their batting lineup with overseas options. So they have this luxury to strengthen their bowling attack. And I think the most impressive thing about their bowling options is the fact that you have Deepak Chahar and Trent Bolt to take the new ball. So that frees up Jasprit Bumrah for the middle overs and then the back end. So you just have all the bases covered. I think that is something that not going to give you free fields at any phase for the opposition side. So a lot of thinking has to be done in terms of when you are going to take them on. Um, at the moment, along with CSK and GT, Mumbai are my top three. I think.
So I was gonna ask like to predict the playoffs, but you pretty much already did. So who's the fourth team?
Fourth team. I think it
So
could be
Mumbai,
a
CSK,
mix
GT,
between
and
DC, GT, and RCB maybe.
so
SRH, you mentioned
Yeah, they
SRH,
could
then
also. I think a lot of options in the middle. Not able to fix down on the fourth option, but yeah, a few contenders for that. Three standout teams though in MI, GT, and CSK.
yeah, I think like MI and CSK, like we're pretty much used to it, but maybe Gujarat will be like the third pillar who is pretty much competitive in every season. And that pretty much covers all of the teams. Thank you very much, Karthik, for joining us and for your great insights as always. And I'd encourage everyone watching to follow him on Twitter because he always has a lot of great insights about even players and teams that are not really in the limelight, especially um, players from Afghanistan. So thank you, Imad, for joining us as well. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate you and all of the Indian fans on the victory in the first test in Perth. It was really like a fantastic performance after the New Zealand series. And thank you everyone for tuning in to ARD. And we will be back with more IPL content once the season starts, as well as the PSL. The two leagues are clashing this year, so it will be really a fun time in this um, March to May window. Do join us, and this is Talha signing off from ARD. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.